This is Eric Beyer of Old Vine, Texas, a new winery tasting room featuring 100% Texas wines from wineries all over the state. We are located in Mansfield, Texas, inside of Ancora Event Center on Broad Street. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie board to enjoy, live music, and a new wine club. Go visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter and learn more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody, to We Know Texas Vino. I'm your host, and today we are coming again from Boone Chris. And again, I have Kelsey here as my guest today. And our first part, if you didn't listen to it, you need to go back and listen to it. It was a really great topic about going into the tasting room for the first time and preparing yourself to get ready to taste, which that leads into this next segment that Kelsey's going to bring to us. And we're going to try to stay really on course as much as possible on this one. I don't think it's going to happen, folks.
Good luck.
Because next thing you know, someone's going to say something about a steak, and then all of a sudden we're like, yeah, we want a steak now.
We're just going to swap recipes.
Yeah, we're just going to swap recipes. We're going to do it here online.
No, we're in the French area. I want German food.
Ooh, that's a good point there.
Yeah.
So, well, Kelsey, welcome back again.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you again on this show here. And I know that when we did the episode with Old Vine, Texas, it was great to talk to you. And then we just did just a few minutes ago, that no one knows this because this is going to be 2 different weeks. We had a great conversation about prepping for our tasting. And we just had such a great conversation that if I didn't stop the train, it was going to continue going.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, about an hour, people stopped listening to us.
And we jump into a whole different topic completely at that point.
100%. So, again, this is your episode again, and you brought us a great topic here about pairing Texas wines and food. So, tell us, Grandmaster.
Pressure.
Oh, great one here.
Oh, great wise one.
Yes.
This is a really fun topic because it can go in so many different directions, which is maybe the problem. I have a set amount of things that I want to talk about, but it helps to have discussion around these conversations because everyone has such a personal interaction with wine. And then when we throw in food, that is even more personal because it's food. I mean, wine is about acidity, bitterness, sugar, alcohol. Food also, you throw in things like texture and you throw in like more types of weight and body. Dishes can be really, really big dishes or really, really light dishes, more so than wine can be. There's just more range. I also think that when we make food, often we know what's in it. But when we're going to a restaurant and we're ordering something off the menu, we don't necessarily know the ingredients that have gone into the food. We don't know everything that the chef has done in order to make the dish what it is. And then we're supposed to guess how it's going to interact with wine. So food and wine interaction gets really complicated really, really easily. I don't want to complicate it. Today's discussion is intended to make it less complicated. And then as we discuss, we're going to try and complicate it over and over again. And I'm going to bring us back.
I'm not a complicated person.
Whether you're complicated or not, food is complicated. And then you are also
I know.
complicated.
I mean, if you just look at the table, you'll see how complicated I am.
Yeah, we were talking about ADHD and ADD on the last episode, and that will be an ever-present theme, I think, in our discussions.
It will be.
And lives. So there are 3 main principles of food and Texas wine pairing that I wanted to talk about. And the first principle is we cannot just talk about Texas wine pairing best with a certain type of food. We can't say Texas wine and barbecue, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's a great place to start for sure. But Texas has so much diversity within the state that we have to talk about it more regionally. And that is what excites me about Texas wine is if we're talking about the Texas High Plains, we're talking about a certain type of food. And if we're talking about the Texas Hill Country, we're talking about a totally different style of food. And if we're talking about far west Texas, we're talking about a totally different style of food. And this is because we're assuming that terroir has an impact on the wine and changes the style. Terroir being the soil, the age of the soil, soil composition and the age of the soil, the type of bedrock that is there, the way that it's broken apart, the way that water is accessed in that particular site. It is also the type of wind and the speed of the wind that blows through and however it happens to weave its way through the vines. And then sun exposure, cloud cover, rain, all of these have an effect on how your grapes grow in undefinable ways. So we can say that per region where there are patterns of these things, where the pattern of the soil is similar across an entire region, we can assume that there are similarities from the wines that are grown there, despite the fact that they may be different grape varieties. So different grape varieties have something to do with it, of course. There's a reason why we say Cabernet Sauvignon and steak and Pinot Noir and duck. Those are classic pairings. There is a reason for those. Right. When we talk regionally, we can talk about food in the same way. So we can say, Tuscan wines and pasta, and a certain pasta from that region. And there's an adage, I guess is what it's called. What grows together goes together. Right. We've all heard that. I think what grows together goes together. This is very true. And it brings out the idea of regionality being a really core important piece to food and wine pairing. So it's not just grape variety. And what I recommend for Texas generally is to not pair your wine and food based on the grape variety. Pair based on the region.
Right.
And we'll talk about why that is in just a moment.
Yep. Yeah. Now, one thing you did point out, and it's kind of funny, people always talk about wine and barbecue, red wine and barbecue. But here's what's crazy is there's so many different styles
types of barbecue sauce. Yeah.
That, I think it is Tennessee barbecue is more vinegary, or is it South Carolina? One of those two is more vinegary. Yeah. And so you're going to have more tart. So you don't want a very tart red wine. You want to need something that's got a little bit more fruit forward or jammy. So you got to even look at it. You can break down each style of food into its own little thing. Like, okay, now we got to figure this out. Yeah. I just opened a whole can of worms.
That is a whole can of worms, but we are getting there. Actually, that is exactly where I'm going.
There's that curve we talked about.
we'll curve back into that. So I've set up this idea of terroir. We're going to go back and assign certain styles to each region that are very general, but they'll serve our purpose. And then we have wine from each of the regions that we're going to talk about. Okay. The second principle is that Texas wines stylistically tend to have certain characteristics that other regions don't necessarily, and we can base our food pairings based on those. Texas wines tend to highlight things like ripeness and fruitiness. Sometimes sweetness. Even if the wine is dry, often there's a little residual sugar there. Softness. It's something that balances our wines. And they tend to highlight overall softness, sometimes spice character from oak. These are all things that are a common theme across Texas, save for some producers who turn that style on its head and do something totally different. This is a generalization. What Texas wines don't tend to lead with is as much acidity and tannin as you would find in other classic regions. There are exceptions to this, of course. If you've heard of the grape variety Tannat, you're not thinking that wine. Generally, the sweetness and the fruitiness is the highlight of Texas wines. Right. This is just as food friendly as regions where the wines focus on acidity and tannin. Think of Italy. Your wines are often tannic, acidic to pair with the food of the region. These are foods that have a saltiness or acidity to them to soften the wines. In Texas, when we use salt and acidity to soften the wines, they can become overly soft and relaxed and what we call flabby. And so I love to introduce sweetness and savoriness into Texas wine pairings.
Yes.
So anything that has a little bit of sugar to it, even if you're eating a piece of meat, if you have a fruit compote on the side, or barbecue is a great example because there are barbecue sauces that have a little bit more sugar than others. Those can be really valuable to help tighten up the structure of Texas wine and make them seem drier and more tannic because they start off a little bit softer. So I like to recommend, if you're going to do the classic Cabernet Sauvignon and steak pairing, with a Cabernet Sauvignon from somewhere else, salt your steak and use salt and acidity to soften the wine. It's going to be a wonderful pairing. In Texas, don't oversalt the steak and maybe go for a steak that's a little bit more gamey. Maybe it's a venison steak instead. Ooh. Or maybe it's a pork that's glazed with something a little bit sweet, like a cherry glazed pork. And Cabernet Sauvignon might be on tone instead. So we have to think about the classic pairings and then twist them to the way that will fit Texas wines best.
You know, I knew this was going to happen when we started talking about this. I got hungry all of a sudden.
Yeah, I did not eat breakfast before I had this discussion.
But I mean, that's interesting. I've never thought about, you know, in Texas, also we are a completely different state from everybody else, from everything, wine, food, everything. I never thought about if you get cab from a different location outside of Texas, salt your steak. But if you do it here in Texas, don't salt your steak.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that, how that will actually change everything.
Things in food that will create softness in wine are typically acidity, salt, and fat. And that is what we tend to lead with when we are pouring wine anywhere, I think. We lead with those three things. Leading with that in Texas can create this over-relaxation of Texas wines where they seem too unstructured in the glass. Does that mean we can't pair cheese with the wine? Of course not. The cheese and wine goes wonderfully together. But it means that other components on the cheese board become really valuable, or different types of cheeses become really valuable. On a Texas cheese board, I like to see aged cheeses that have savoriness to them in addition to the fat. I like to see some of the sweet things on a charcuterie board that I don't otherwise like to see. I like to see the honey. I like to see the jam because they create a structure to Texas wines that is a really, really nice pairing. I don't like to see sea salt on a board because oversalting is something that can make wine overly fruity, and Texas wine is already very fruity. Little pinches of it, absolutely wonderful, but it's all about balance in Texas. And
how do you feel about olives? Different.
I love olives, but I especially love olives in Texas that are stuffed with something. So like blue cheese stuffed olives, and in Texas makes a lot of sense to me. There are some olives that are very briny and salty, and there's some that are less. Like I like the Spanish olives, the what are they called?
I almost say Clamatos.
I feel like they start with a C, but they're a pale green, and they're a little bit larger and they're seeded. I find those to taste more like olive and less like the brine that they are in. And those are wonderful because they're fresh and they offer a more subtle change to the wine in that direction.
So last time I was down here, I was at Hawk Shadow, and they have jalapenos, have olives, like a jar of olives on the menu, but they're stuffed with jalapeno and cheese. And just literally talking about that, I remember them bringing us some of that out, and I'm like, holy cow. And we were drinking one of the reds. I can't remember what it was. But I remember eating it and how it actually enhanced that wine a little bit more, made it more fruity than what it was previously. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. I don't remember it being like that. But now that you said that, now I get it. It clicks in now.
And it all depends on the style of wine that you're drinking. So we're generalizing this again to Texas wines. There is such variation. The great thing is that whether you feel like you know what Texas wine pairs to or not, just having simple tools in your kit to make it change the way you personally like is really valuable. So salt and acidity in food will make fruit pop out of wine, and it will typically make your wine taste softer.
So when you're talking about pairing, there's traditional pairing. And I have always said that if something I'm eating, well, I may want a different than what a traditional pairing is because it's my taste. And so people say, well, you've got to, eat, have a red wine with a steak or whatever. It's not what, again, I feel that Texas wines is breaking that mold.
Yes.
Because, the rest of them, okay,
well, no, I'm just sitting here thinking, someone posted the other day that they were doing Texas wine and pairing it with McDonald's.
No.
That's very hot right now.
Really?
Fast food and wine pairings.
It's
doing exactly what we talked about in the previous episode, which is making wine feel like there's less pressure.
Yeah.
So McDonald's has a lot of fat and salt in it. It can make your wine taste overly soft, which would not be great for Texas. But once you introduce ketchup, then you've changed the whole balance. There are principles of food and wine at play, even in that situation. You never get away from them.
Basically, a hamburger. You didn't have to say McDonald's, but a hamburger.
Yeah.
With that.
Well, no, specifically because if you do hamburger from McDonald's, from hamburger from Jack in the Box, from Burger King, Sonic, it's going to be completely different across the board.
Yeah.
So you'll have to actually call it out where it is. We're going to have to do an episode like that now, right?
We can do. I've done it before. I'm prepared.
We may have to get some McDonald's, some Whataburger, and some Taco Bell.
I will pick the perfect wines for us.
That would be very fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say, and I'm going to sidebar this conversation again. We did a Girl Scout cookie pairing with wine, and I will never, ever... I don't wake up with hangovers very often. It sounds like I'm an alcoholic. But I woke up with the worst hangover, and I think it was based off of wine and sugar because we ate like 8 boxes of cookies and,
oh my
and
gosh.
8 bottles of wine.
Classic dehydration.
Oh man, it was
from
horrible.
sugar.
It was a horrible experience.
Yeah, sugar cravings plus alcohol is not so fun.
You were talking about different things on the boards. We had pepper. It was a sugar drop pepper. And which I've never heard of sugar drop until we had them. But those do change the texture or the technique or the balance. And I lost the word.
The balance,
of the wine or the texture of the wine, as you would call it.
I love those. As an alternative to pickles, it's perfect. Pickles can make Texas wine overly soft and fruity, but those peppers, the Peruvian peppers, the red ones that look like a teardrop, those have a little subtle sweetness to them. They're not overly sweet, but you pop one in your mouth, you drink a Texas wine, and all of a sudden your Texas wine feels structured.
They're just,
never underestimate texture.
Those little pepper dews?
No, they're not peppadews. They're called piri-piri peppers.
Oh.
Peppadews are a little bit
bigger. Okay.
Bigger.
No, I've had to order them offline.
But they have that crunch.
Yeah.
I love a crunch with Texas wines. There's a term we use for wine tasting when we have a really structured wine. It has a lot of tannin and a lot of body and a lot of alcohol. We say that it's a chewy or a crunchy wine. Texas wines aren't so crunchy because they're softer. And so having a crunch in your food, I feel like actually gives you that, that is part of pairing as well. We talked about this last episode that like your emotion and the way that things make you feel do affect your perception of wine. And food is even more that way because food is like a straight shot to your heart and your emotion and nostalgia a lot of the time. It's poetry. Food and wine together is poetry. But texture has a lot to do with it. I did a chocolate and wine pairing class once, and we did it in a deconstructed way to prove that chocolate and red wine can go well together. And the way we did it is we took several barks, chocolate barks from down the road at El Rey. We tasted the chocolate without the stuff in the chocolate first. And that is typically not the ideal pairing. It is straight chocolate. It's bitter. It's acid. And it makes the wine taste sharper. And then we tasted the component that goes in the bark. And that's typically something salty or something that makes the wine taste softer. And so then when you combine them together, you create a unique balance that is really, really lovely. And there was a Tempranillo pairing specifically. I think of Tempranillo as being a crunchy wine some of the time, but this was a very soft Tempranillo. And when we did this pairing together, we paired it with pomegranates that had the seed still in it. And that crunch gave the Tempranillo the perception of more structure.
Wow.
And it was less soft afterwards. And it made the wine sophisticated and it just changed everything. And it was the texture that did it, not just the flavor. And this is why food and wine pairing gets really complicated because knowing when to introduce texture is really tough.
We just have to make my list of things I have to buy at the grocery store like with the wine.
That's what we should have done. I thought we were going to swap recipes, but really we're just writing out grocery lists for later.
Well, like I was saying in the last episode, drinking wine has actually changed the way my palate is. I've actually stopped eating so much fast food now, and I actually like to cook more. It's really hard with my situation now because when I cook a lot of food. In fact, actually, I had some friends come over for 4th of July, and I did smoked salsa. So I actually put the tomatoes and the jalapenos and the onions off that on the smoker, and I smoked them down. Then I put them in the blender and added just a little bit of lemon juice and a little Himalayan salt into it. Man, it really just brought everything out. And we started out with a very fruit-forward red with that salsa. Yeah. And it was really just balanced itself out. Even with a little bit of heat that was on it, it just balanced it out. And then I had potato salad that made it a spicy, first time I've done this, made a spicy potato salad.
Cool.
And then did my ribs, because you know how I do my ribs, We'll get on a whole different story about my ribs. But we what's that?
This is going to turn into a ribs showdown.
But I had pulled out 4 different wines, and each one complemented each one while we're eating. And we got to drink it and got to eat it and experience everything together. And it was amazing how each one of the wines actually complemented the next one. But what was really crazy is I wish I remember what we drank, which is weird. I usually remember what we drink. What did we drink last night? I was being facetious, by the way. We were cross drinking, like we would have this other red with the salsa, and because we had already been drinking and eating, our palate got accustomed to it and actually enhanced that wine. I can't explain it.
Interesting.
It really, how we were drinking all the different wines and we was eating, the food kind of gelled with each other, and we started having, I want to say, cross contamination, maybe.
The positive way, though.
In a positive way, yes. My point of the whole story is that wine can change your palate to what you like to eat. I mean, I didn't like artichokes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do big chunks of artichokes. Small ones, I'm okay. Big chunks of artichoke, can't do it. It's a texture thing.
It's a texture thing. That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah, it's a texture thing. But I've found that I do like artichokes. Throw a little bit of spinach on it, a little bit of cream cheese, we're good to go.
Yeah.
You know?
The same is true of wine. We our palates change to food and our palates change to wine. And we talked about, as you go through your wine journey, people tend to, go on a journey of liking different styles. And we've all moved from one style of wine to another. Food is the same thing.
Yeah.
So classic pairings only go so far. To your point, the classic pairings are there if we don't want to think too much, or we want to try and understand the tradition of wine. But understanding food and wine at a deeper level is understanding how simple principles like salt and acidity and savoriness and personal preference and texture can affect the wines in front of you.
Right.
and then it changes with you. You can use the same principles to interact with the foods that you're enjoying at the time and the wines that you're enjoying at the time. The last principle that I want to introduce is treating wine like a sauce as a part of your dish.
Right.
We think of them as really separate. And I think a lot of the time, food and wine pairing is thought about as some type of food can cause for a certain flavor to come out in the wine. And that is not exactly true. Mm-hmm. If you put basil in your dish, it will not highlight basil notes in your wine. Right. Or having chocolate in your mole will not cause for cherry flavors to come out in the wine. If the flavor already isn't in the wine, it's not going to come out. You can't highlight oak characteristics that aren't there. What you can do, though, is think of wine as, think of it as a Rubik's Cube. Mm-hmm. Lots of different colors on the Rubik's Cube. They're all mixed up all over the place. You can only see one side of the Rubik's Cube at one time. Mm-hmm. Unless you have a video showing you the back of the Rubik's Cube at the same time. If you're holding it like this, you can only see the front of it. Right. And then if you turn it, you can see the other side. And if you turn it, you can see the other side. Food is what is causing for that turn to happen. So the food that you eat will cause for you to see a different side of the wine than you did before. So food is there to be this like rotating platform for wine to show you more of itself. When you have multiple things on your plate, then you can see more and more sides of the wine, and then treat it like a sauce. So essentially, if there are aromas in your wine that you would not put as flavors in your dish, they're not going to jive well together. So if your wine smells like plum and you're pairing your wine with a dish that you would not normally add plum to, it is likely not going to jive. So if you're eating asparagus and your wine smells like plum, that could be a conflicting aroma depending on how you cook the asparagus. But if you are having something like duck and there's cherry or plum aroma in your wine, that's lovely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've had stewed cherries on top of duck before, and that's why Pinot Noir goes really well with duck. It's part of the reason why it goes well together. And then the duck will help highlight other sides of the wine that you didn't notice before. You just don't get to choose what those are. They're natural parts of the wine.
Interesting. So that's one of the fascinating things about wine is you can literally enhance your food with what you've got, but you got to do it right. If you don't do it right, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, if you don't do it right, it's a terrible pairing. And I think a lot of the time people go for complexity to make it work. Like if I put a lot of things in this dish and I pick a really nice wine, they're going to find a way to fit together. And that's the best way to make them not jive with each other. Yeah. If you have a really complicated dish, pick a really simple wine. Pick something that is easy and will bend to the wine, the food in the way that it needs to.
So you talk about wine as a sauce. Now, when you say that, are you also referring to it as something to cook with as well as a sauce?
Yeah, you can always cook with wine and add flavor. What I want to warn away from is if you are cooking asparagus, you don't need to find a wine that also smells like asparagus in order for it to work. We've definitely done let's cook with this wine and then pair the same wine with the thing that we cooked with. Mm-hmm. You don't need matching flavors in food and wine. If you are making mole, you don't need for the wine to have chocolate notes in it. You need to have complementary flavors, but not the same flavors. I think the habit a lot of the time is if your wine smells smoky and meaty, then barbecue is your thing. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily the case. If your food is smoky and your wine is smoky, you're just like tripling the amount of smokiness that you have.
So then this is kind of brought up a little thing that I was kind of curious about. I like to cook with wine. Mm-hmm. Now, we'll say I'm doing a Chenin Blanc for a deglazing of my pan. Mm-hmm. Do I want to continue drinking Chenin Blanc or do I actually want to go to a different wine?
You can do both. If you're deglazing the pan with it, you are using the structural components of the wine without as much of the flavor of it. And so it's okay to pair that same wine with the food. You can also deglaze the pan with Chenin Blanc and then pull out a red wine and pair red wine with your dish. We talked in the previous session about how when you put two wines next to each other, this first wine is going to make the second wine taste different. That is the same with making a dish. If you have the same wine that you're cooking with and pairing with, the second time you taste that same wine, it won't change. It's not going to have a difference. That's the only...
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw that face just go blank.
I couldn't remember what the last word of the sentence was supposed to be.
That's great because it just went blank on me. I get it. It happens. But yes, I definitely understand what you're saying. And that makes sense because, I mean, sometimes, you just want to deglaze with something or use it in the sauce, but sometimes a different wine will go better with a dish you're making.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It depends how much flavor the dish pulled from the wine, but I wouldn't say to overthink that one. No need to.
Yeah. I tell everybody don't overthink wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also don't mistake that if you cook with a certain wine, that the same wine is then going to pair with the dish. You can't force a dish to pair with your wine by cooking with that wine.
Right.
It does not make them complementary.
Yeah. It does not work.
So if you're trying to cook lamb and you want to force it to pair with a wine, you can't cook with that wine and make it pair to lamb.
Right.
So Chenin Blanc poured over lamb is not going to make that lamb taste better with Chenin Blanc.
Interesting. Okay.
So don't overthink that one.
Yeah. Okay. I'll stop. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We started talking about regionality in Texas, and that's where the next step of this goes. So all the principles that I just laid out, when we started talking about Texas wine regionally, there are some unique characteristics of each region that we've started to be able to pull out and use as identifiers for the region. We have two of those regions in front of us using this relatively the same grapes, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and grape varieties like Malbec, one from the Texas Hill Country and one from the Texas High Plains. But we're going to add in far west Texas as well. We source fruit from Del Valley Vineyard, and so we're going to use that as the example.
Okay.
So 3 really different parts of Texas. This is from the Texas High Plains. The Texas High Plains grows many different grapes, some of them white, some of them red, used for rosé and red wines. We're going to talk mostly about red wines because most of Texas wine is red wine. When we are talking about the Texas High Plains, there are many terroir components that cause for the grapes to grow in certain ways, but let's cut to the chase and go straight to the end. At the end of it all, we end up with medium to full-bodied wines that have preserved acidity, soft tannins, and citrus and herbaceous notes. That is what the High Plains is most associated with. Are y'all just splashing the wine in your faces?
I thought you splashed it.
Hold on. Okay. No, I didn't splash.
When I say let's dive into the wine, that's not what I mean.
I feel like I got a piece of hair that's like sitting right here floating on my face.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sitting here like...
I thought we were doing a like airplane. Do you have a drinking problem? And do you know that scene?
Well, no, we won't go over the drinking problem.
Yeah, we won't do that. We won't do the comedy pitch yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So for Texas High Plains wines, we get citrus and herbaceous notes. This is a generalization. It's not true for every single wine, but smell for those things. Orange peel, herbaceous notes, those.
Yeah.
And we can define those in different ways. I say sage, you say lavender or basil. It can be different per person, but these are constants that we find because of the soil type, sun, the elevation, all of these things come together to create that perception. What dishes do y'all put citrus and herbs in?
Chicken and turkey.
Beautiful. Chicken and turkey. So you're talking like holidays, Yeah. When I think of turkey, I think of holidays. When I think of orange peel, I always go to Thanksgiving. When I think of herbs, I always go to when it's cooler outside. Not always, but yeah, I love Texas High Plains wines for the holidays. No matter what the grape variety is, I feel comfortable for a holiday grabbing a Texas High Plains wine. I would do citrus peel and herbs with something like pork. An dried herb rubbed pork loin, or citrus peel, and I think something like
pineapple on top of it. Put a pineapple on top of it.
Put a pineapple on top. Ooh, let's get into tropical fruit. So let's talk about Del Valley.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
I was thinking with the pork, I was thinking more pineapple glaze. Yeah.
So when you go over to Del Valley, it's warmer, and the wines there can be similar to this, similar grape varieties, but instead of herbaceous and citrus, we tend to get more tropical aromas. And even the red wines will have tropical, they can be like fruit punch, where they're really opulent, fruity. They have citrus and tropical aromas. And so that's when I go like Hawaiian style. And I do a pork loin, because I would normally do tropical things and pork together.
Okay, so now you just made my whole gears and my brain just started spinning, because you talk about the tropical stuff. You get a pork loin, get you some pineapple though on top of it, chunks of coconut in the middle of the pineapple.
So in this case, you don't need to put the pineapple and the coconut on the dish. And when we're talking about the Texas High Plains wine, you don't need to rub your dish with herb or citrus. The wine is doing that for you.
That would be, if you did anything on the pork, I'm thinking just your basic salt, black pepper.
Just season it.
So the wine will bring out your tropical flavors.
Yes.
Like when you eat that pork. So the pork needs
That's
to
when
be
it
basic.
sings.
Just nothing extra, just needs to be just basic.
Yes, exactly. The goal is to treat the wine like the sauce. It's not that you can't have a sauce on your dish, but the wine is acting as an additional component to the dish. So if you have an overly complex dish with a sauce and seasoning and multiple sides, that's when a wine can get lost. A wine will shine most when it is acting as a component of the dish. So in Del Valley, just get a traditional pork loin, something that would go well with tropical flavors, and then pick a Del Valley wine to go with that. And then for sides, think of what else you would eat in tropical paradise. What is pairing with your pork loin? Plantains, some sort of greens to go along with it. Maybe a refreshing salad.
There's a lot dressing. You wouldn't want a heavy dressing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this way, we're not thinking about the wine. We're thinking the wine is tropical because it's from Del Valley, and we're putting ourselves on an island and thinking, what would we be eating on that island? And likely they're going to go together.
It's fascinating. I'm sitting here looking at the map of Texas over here, and just looking at how we can break the regions in Texas. And I tell everybody, first off, I tell a lot of people, you can take the same grape and go to different parts of the 5 different parts of Texas, and you'll get 5 different flavors of that grape. Now you just took it to a whole different level. Like, if you get your grapes from this part of Texas over here, you can do this kind of food or this type of dish. You get your grapes from this side, you can do this type of dish. And
Exactly.
I never even thought about it that far. I mean, to me, food is. I was going to say food is food, but no, food is not food. Food is an experience when you match it with the right wine. What I've never thought about was actually, okay, well, you know what? If I'm going to grab a wine that's from West Texas, I want to do tropical. Or if I want to come up from the high plains, I want to want whatever.
Yeah.
Never really thought about that until just now.
I don't think we talk about it in that way yet. And even I'm still like practicing this discussion. These are conclusions that I'm coming to after
guinea pigs.
Yeah, y'all are absolutely guinea pigs. And I've talked about this before. This isn't a brand new concept that I'm introducing. I think that too often someone comes into a tasting room and they purchase a bottle of our wine and it's a Sangiovese, and they go automatically to pairing the wine with something that they would pair with the Sangiovese from somewhere else. And that may be the best way to make the wine taste wrong, or to highlight the things about the wine that would be good when it's from another region, but not so on tone for Texas wine.
Well, this is crazy that I'm going to say this, but every time I think of Sangiovese, every time I think about it, I always think of either grilled or seared pears.
Why?
I don't know. Always.
Interesting.
Every time I think of a Sanjo or someone says Sanjo, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Have you had those two together before?
Never have.
I'm not going to say that wouldn't be good, but that is...
I mean, you get the pear that is sweet. You got the Sanjo, that's got a little bit of
fruitiness. And
yeah. Sorry, my brain just went duh also.
I want to dig into this and figure out where that came from, but may not have the time for that.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother session completely.
Session, yeah.
So when we're talking about the same grape variety, so we have two Cabernet Sauvignons in front of us. From the High Plains, the Cabernet Sauvignon, because it has the citrus and the herbs, is best to pair with something that you would do citrus and herbs together. We said something like chicken or turkey. We said around the holidays. In Del Valley, our Cabernet Sauvignon is going to pair best with something like pork with plantain. In the Texas Hill Country, it changes even more. In the Texas Hill Country, we get bigger, richer wines. We tend to have more structure in the wines, or tighter structure in the wines. And the wines can be heavily spiced. Depending on where in the Hill Country we are, they can have herb and floral aromas, and then very ripe fruit aromas. So ripe fruit, florals and herbs, and spice notes. What foods are y'all thinking about at that point? What dish would you build that would have multiples of those components?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my thought is like maybe a pepper encrusted filet mignon.
So steak,
Yeah.
or
I mean,
cow?
Yeah, cow.
And pepper?
Yeah.
Pepper, flowers, and herbs go super well together. So something heavy in spices, something
I was
with...
thinking more of like Mexican food. If you're,
I love that you said that.
Well, you're saying that bold flavors and things.
Heavy spice.
Well,
Chili, heavy spice. Yeah, and anything that you would put spice into. With the chili, you don't need to overspice it because your wine is going to add some of that. Mexican food is wonderful. Tex-Mex specifically is a wonderful option because there's so much spice in that cuisine. Cheese enchiladas is where I'm at. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go have lunch.
I know, I'm so hungry.
Let's go have lunch.
My mind goes towards like gamey cuts of meat where you would want darker, richer, riper fruit characters, and herb character is always lovely in there. And then there's a natural spice that comes with gaminess that you want to pair it together. So I'm thinking game meats, Mexican food, and chili for Texas Hill Country Cabernet Sauvignon.
You're talking fruity too. I was just talking in my head, but jerk chicken or Jamaican dishes.
Jerk chicken.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Absolutely.
That's got a spice to it, and it's also got fruit and things that would bring the two levels together, I guess.
Yeah, it brings the worlds together.
We should do a podcast called Cooking with Kelsey.
For the record, I can't cook at all, so it's terrible.
This is kind of big over here.
I can talk about food for sure, but beyond that.
Oh my gosh.
So if we're bringing it all together, there are different components that you find in the different regions that can help you start your pairings in the right way. Treating your wine as a sauce helps you do that. So you don't need a cherry compote on a wine to have a cherry aroma in a wine as a part of the dish makes sense. Also, Lost my train of thought, but it's going to come back. The final piece that will help that click is considering that Texas wines start soft. So across the whole region, Texas wines start soft. So when you pick that dish, if it's a Del Valley wine and a pork loin with plantain and some greens, it is treating the wine like a sauce to that and then making sure that there is savoriness and maybe a touch of sweetness in the dish. Luckily, we already have the plantains that are going to add that sweetness. A glaze on the pork is not a terrible idea because it's going to add back that structure that Texas wines crave alongside food. Not oversalting anything, not having an acid component as the major piece. So do it regionally, treat the wine like a sauce, and then favor savory and sweet components in the dish to make the wine change in the ideal way.
Huh. Well, this was really interesting.
And then practice.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part of food and wine pairing is knowing what's in your food. That's where it all starts. Knowing where there is acidity in your food, knowing where there is over salting,
right,
where there's sugar. Mm-hmm. I think we go out and eat food a lot and don't notice how much sugar is in our food.
Yes. And salt.
And salt. And we're so quick to grab the salt and to add it to whatever.
You know, and I'm not a big salt eater. I mean, but you do need to add a little salt to enhance
flavor.
and you can say wine is the salt then. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm just going to drop my mic right here and walk away.
Drop it and walk away.
Well, is there anything else you want to cover? I mean, this has been fascinating. I hope we got everything you wanted in.
Oh, yeah. I think that was plenty.
Well, we really actually didn't talk about the two wines you got sitting right here. Obviously, we're at William Chris.
Yes.
And we're talking to an amazing young lady here that it's just... People, if y'all want some education, got to come and see her. She is just an absolutely knowledgeable young lady here. And I know for me, I've learned quite a bit. I know my mom and my...
We always learn. Today was exceptional.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't wait to start our WSET classes. We are like ecstatic about that. I mean, you can see us how excited we are.
Yeah. Y'all ask all the questions that I love to hear in class.
So we will ask them again because we'll probably have part-timer's disease.
It's all repetition.
Oh, mercy. Well, let's talk about the wine that you brought up here right quick. That way at least get Will and Chris' name in there too.
Yeah. So. I pulled two of our flagship wines, and I love to use these as a comparison because they use the same types of grape varieties, Bordeaux varieties, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, both as the primary, and then other grapes like Malbec and Petit Verdot sometimes as well. But these are from two totally different parts of Texas. So the Hunter is always from the Texas High Plains, and the Enchanté is always from the Texas Hill Country, and from a specific area of the Texas Hill Country called the Llano Uplift, which is just north of where we are now. I love these as a comparison because they're the same grape varieties, but we would pair them so differently.
Huh. Interesting.
We can't just say this is a Bordeaux blend and therefore it goes with steak. Will they both be fine with steak? Absolutely. Like, that's the great thing about food and wine is if you ignored everything that I said today, you can just take a shot and it's not going to be terrible. It is very difficult to have an absolutely disgusting food and wine pairing because food is good and wine is good. And as long as you're not forcing yourself to eat or drink something you don't like, it's going to be fine together. Right. But when we talk about the Hunter, since it's from the Texas High Plains, it has that citrus and herbaceous character. It has a medium to full body. It has some nice structural components, very little to no residual sugar. It's very dry. What is wonderful with the Hunter is the holidays. That is why it has the red foil. We are indicating that you should be thinking holidays with this wine, which is exactly where you went. You said chicken and turkey. I go holidays every time. You smell citrus in the air because of the cloves that you put in the orange. Do y'all do that for the holidays?
I haven't done it in a long time. On YouTube, yeah.
Put clove in the orange.
Oh, I'll take the orange and stick it inside the bird.
Oh, and then stuff the bird with orange. All the things that we smell in the wine is what you stuff bird with.
Yeah.
that is the most lovely pairing. And then classic things like green bean casserole, or of course you have some sort of potato inside the mix, and all of that is really, really lovely. And the great thing about the holidays is there's salt here, there's a little acidity here, and then there are sweet pieces as well. The cranberry sauce with the bird, or the glaze on top. I mean, it's
Bags of Chex Mix.
bags of Chex Mix is exactly what I was going to say next. Crazy.
Sorry. Oh, that's what's in our family.
Honey glazed ham, is that what you said?
No, I said it's some of the can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we have bags of Chex Mix during the holidays, like bags.
Bags.
Is it?
Homemade Chex Mix, not Chex Mix.
I do my own version of
yeah.
that with like white chocolate and things.
No.
This is a classic Chex Mix.
Sometimes it was like the holidays.
Yeah, you're lately. No,
Get
it's
together, she'll make bags of it, pass out. It's usually gone before the kids leave.
Yeah.
a savory Chex.
Yeah.
A savory Chex Mix. That would be perfect with this, actually. I can picture them going really nicely together.
I've actually had her
Really?
put,
Same components, but it always comes out to
I've had her actually add the honey nut Chex into it one time. So you get the savory and the sweet.
Yeah, you get that little sweetness.
It's like, okay, well, we're going to have this.
Speaking of the savory piece, do y'all do rye chips in your Chex Mix?
What?
Rye chips?
Oh, no.
No.
This wine and rye chips is really, really nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, the double toast?
What?
Just the little brown little...
Yeah, the little brown, very crunchy.
Yes,
We were
yes.
talking about texture being wonderful. We were talking about savoriness being wonderful. And rye has a sort of like rustic quality to it that fits with all of that.
He just said that this would go good with a Reuben sandwich.
Yeah. I love a Reuben. I
But it has to be
love
good
a Reuben.
Some people's version of Reuben is like, why did you put this in there?
I don't know. I've never met one I don't
Even a
like.
Cuban sandwich. You're talking about
Oh,
south of the border meal, Cuban sandwich. With
I know someone who makes a good Cuban.
Oh, yeah.
Cibonnet.
You? Oh, yeah.
I don't make a good Cuban. No. Miguel makes.
See, my name makes. Okay, we gotta go.
Well, it's not Thursday.
Oh,
We're 1 day too late. 2 days too late.
I think we're gonna be sitting
Thursday.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so Hunter for the holidays
Yes.
is where we started
Man,
that
holy
with.
cow, we just went
There's rabbits in this room today.
I think so. You start talking about food in this group,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
We never get to where we were going, but we get somewhere great either way. Yeah, Hunter in the holidays is where I go every single time. And yeah, you can drink it outside of that, but holiday flavors and aromas are just what fit with this. Enchante is very different because it's grown in the Texas Hill Country. Same grape variety. I know it's such a like welcoming and heartfelt name. So is Hunter when you know the story.
Poolside.
Poolside? Nice. I would go hot tub, but otherwise, I can picture
They were
it.
like, this little hot outside.
Holidays or pool, either way. Yeah, we drink Hunter all year round here. Enchante is a little bit richer in some ways. There's an herbaceous and a floral note to it, like I mentioned, is classic for certain parts of the Texas Hill Country, namely the Llano Uplift. It has very ripe fruit aromas that we say are cola-like. And because of that, I pair this with gamey meats anytime that I can. But cheese enchiladas would be another fantastic. Or something like venison chili. All the things that we each mentioned is where I go with this. Same grape varieties relatively, but because of the region, they just pair with completely different types of foods. We also make Cabernet Sauvignon blends from Del Valle. And for that, I'm much more likely to go towards something like pork. It is not all Cabernet Sauvignon and steak.
So I got one
I've
in my
got some
freezer
wine
too.
for you then.
We're coming to your house. We're cooking at your house in a little bit, okay?
The kitchen is never used, so perfect.
Wow.
Pork ribs and
You know, there's one thing I've always wanted to do in Texas is I want to get grapes and the wines made in those regions.
Mm-hmm.
And then do a tasting with those grapes. Like, so you get it from the hill country, you get it from the high plains, you get it from West Texas, East Texas, North Texas, South Texas, and just see how much diversity is in those grapes.
With the same grape variety?
Uh-huh.
Well, you should join us for the Advanced Texas Wine Ambassador Certification course, because that is exactly what we do. That course is the build on after the Texas Wine Ambassador Certification. The advanced course focuses more on comparative tastings. We're comparing varieties from different regions, same variety, different regions. Mm-hmm. We're comparing different wines, same wine, multiple vintages. Mm-hmm. We're doing comparisons, same grape, same place, different producer. And that's how we reconcile all the things that I brought together in this discussion. That is exactly what that class is for.
Oh man, I got a lot to go. Lots to do.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. I actually really enjoy this. If I didn't have to be an IT guy, I would be doing this more often. Yeah.
One day.
When I grow up.
When you grow up. It's all possible.
We were talking about basically, I just thought this would be really good with a chili relleno.
I love, is that the stuffed pepper?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fried.
Fried?
Yeah, chili rellenos are typically deep fried.
Are they really? I didn't know that. Yeah, but stuffing really savory things into a pepper.
You can bake them.
Beautiful.
Well, I mean, you could.
Well, if you use a popolano, you
sorry,
if you use
we're listening to you, Kelsey.
No. I love hearing about
Let's
food.
talk
I learn
about
more
pepper,
things.
Shall we? No.
I knew we were going to recipe swap. I knew it.
If you want some recipes, I got some recipes for you. I got tons of recipes that I store up.
I will take them, but I won't do anything with them.
I need to come and cook for y'all one day.
I can bring the wine. That
Deal.
is what I'm good for.
Deal. Well, Kelsey, is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, this has been a very informative episode also. Again, the first episode was really, really great. Great conversations. I mean, we did a lot of sidebarring, but it came out to be such a great episode. And I know we're just only touching the cusp of what you have stored up right here.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable. And people, well, I'll tell you what, go ahead and do a little plug for the Hill Country Wine Academy.
Okay.
And what all your offer, where it's at, and how you can find it. The plug.
The plug is this. So the Hill Country Wine Academy is a 2-person team. We do everything together. We teach all of the classes. Right now we have 4 certification courses, and we're working on our 5th. We give WSET classes, levels 1 and level 2. Level 1 can be completed in a day, and level 2 is over a series of days where we build up a ton of theoretical knowledge to make going out into the world of wine, shopping in grocery stores, ordering wine off of menus so much easier. And then the Texas Wine Ambassador certification courses I've spoken about a lot. The first level can be completed in a day, and the second course is 1.5 days where you can really dig into the depths of Texas wine, and we focus on comparative tastings and terroir during that course. And this is for Texas grown wines. We're working on our WSET level 3 certification, which is the next level after WSET level 2. So you can really build up strong wine skills with us. And then we give a series of short form courses as well, so that you can come to us and figure out whether you want to jump into WSET or to just build up your tasting skills like we talked about in the previous episode, or to learn more about food and wine. This was a really intense discussion where we dove into something that I don't usually get to talk about. We don't get into this discussion in all the classes that we give. One thing that you would take away from one of these classes that is just bite-sized knowledge about food and wine is that you can salt your food to the taste of your wine. Just like you would salt a dish and then taste it every time to make sure it tastes good. If you salt your dish and then taste your wine, you should keep salting until your wine tastes perfect. That's what we can get into in class. And those are such powerful tools to help you get to the point where this discussion becomes easy and fun and just experimental. So all of our classes are available on hcwineacademy.com, and that's where you would find our full calendar. But anyone is welcome to reach out directly to me. And something that we love to do is help people figure out what class is right for them. So we'll have the discussion and make sure that you're getting into a course that makes sense for where you're at with wine. And then we just have fun from there. It's what we love to do.
Man, I am too.
I'm so excited to have y'all in class.
You do know it's going to be like completely off the rails. It's not even going to be a track in place.
I'm not going to say we've ever had a class that's on the rails. So
oh, well,
that's fine.
Well, Kelsey, it has been an honor again to be here with you today. I am really looking forward to actually talking with you more in the future. In fact, in the very near future. But it was an honor. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for letting me bring in a kind of off the wall discussion and meeting me where I'm at today.
It was very, I was fascinated. I love this. I've always loved all the things. Really learning from you today was just phenomenal.
Thank you.
I look forward toward the class, really.
We're going to go out into the world now, and the new knowledge we got today, we're going to go out and start playing around.
Oh, yes.
Please do. Let me know how it goes.
Oh, yeah, most
Please.
definitely. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode.
Okay.
Again, thank you again. It's been an honor, and I'm looking forward to more with you. But this is Will.
And Kelsey.
And Hutch.
And Glenn.
And this is We Know
We know
Texas
Texas.
Vino.
We know. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.